Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Gig Sessions Lunchtime Talk. Arrived a little early to give you guys a minute to start streaming in. Just so you know, if you have any questions for the guests, please put a capital Q in front of your comment so we can make sure that those questions get in front of the artist. Today, we have Joe Krown and Waylon Thibodeaux, both from New Orleans. Joe Krown is currently touring with U.S. World Award-winning Kenny Wayne Shepherd and had played with Gatemouth Brown from 1992 till his death in 2001. Welcome, Joe. Waylon, he is a fiddle player extraordinaire, and one of my favorite quotes about Waylon was from Making a Scene, and they called him the best Rockland fiddler since Doug Kershaw. Welcome, Waylon.
Hello.
Hello.
So Waylon made a really awesome comment when we were opening up this show today. This is my first time to meet Waylon in person, and I guess we couldn't put any more social distancing between ourselves on this visit. So welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you.
To be here.
Thank you, Tina.
So we have all had some unexpected downtime, and that's kind of why we started this lunchtime talk. Part of it is selfish for me to be able to say hello, and also to allow the fans to come in and chat with you guys. So I'll start with you, Waylon. I know that you are in the process of working on a house that was pretty dilapidated and found on your property. And so how is life with COVID and learning to become a general contractor?
Well, without a doubt, I'm doing work that I've never done ever before in my life. So this is all new to me, and it's pretty interesting, and it's very challenging, and it helps me to keep my mind focused and everything that I need to be doing. This house was in really bad shape when we got over here, and when we drove up on the property, I was like, man, I can't wait till this thing is gone and out of my sight. I was like, let's tear this down. So anyway, my friend said, man, you got to save that house. And that house is a good house. The bones are real good. So I said, okay, well, we'll try it. So my wife and I decided we was going to work on the house. And I've been working on it for the last 4 years now. And this thing has really mushroomed into where it's at now. And with the not being able to play, I'm able to devote all my time to this house. But at the same time, it's killing me. I'm going stir crazy in this house. Because I work and work and work. I work from sun up to sundown in this house, And thank goodness for plastic. That's all I can say, because I ain't got no money to buy the supplies I need. So you charge it and you deal with it later,
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I've been working on that. I actually came in from working today. I had sawdust all in my hair and everything. I came in, took a shower just so I can do this internet interview. How about that?
Yay me!
I figured I wanted to smell a little better.
Yeah, exactly. So Joe, you obviously had a very busy touring schedule with Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yep.
And all of that got put on hold. And so what have you been doing?
Well, let's see. I've been cooking a little. I learned how to cut my own hair. I've been doing a weekly live stream on Sundays. That, even though it takes an hour to do it, it takes me all week of thinking about what I'm going to do, that I could do something different from the week before. And we bought some property in Mississippi, and we're spending some time out here. And, we have the 2 places now. And that's been keeping me kind of busy, just trying to figure out how I'm going to put this thing together without any money. But, we're making do, and, just trying to spend a lot of time with my wife and my little dogs, and just hoping that the work will come back soon.
And has anything been said to you from the Kenny Wayne camp as far as what is your next scheduled show?
Well, we're supposed to have a band meeting via Zoom later today about that, but right now there are some dates at the end of June. Kenny's venues. He doesn't play in any nightclubs at all. I mean, well, there may be one or two that we play, like the Rams Head in Annapolis, and we do these like the Belly Up in Solana Beach, which is by San Diego. But everything else is all concert halls, theaters, and casinos. So we're thinking the last conversation we had, which was about a month ago, was that the casinos will be opening, and they are opening, and they are open here in New Orleans and in Mississippi, and they are trying to do things to bring to lure their spenders in there, and they're setting up to do concerts. And we did have some concerts set up to do at the end of June. I'll find out later today if they're actually going to happen and what we have to do to make these shows.
And you guys, you normally fly to and from your gigs.
Oh yeah, we're not flying to and from the gigs. We're flying to meet the tour bus, to go to drive around and do the gigs and stuff. You know, it's definitely like a new world out there as far as trying to tour with this. And the last discussions we had was that we would all have to get tested beforehand. We would have to isolate ourselves to just being in the dressing room or tour bus and the stage, and that's no contact with anybody. Kenny does these things. Kenny and Noah Hunt, who's a fabulous singer for the band, they do these meet and greets before show where you can buy a VIP ticket. You sit up in the first or second row, and you get a little laminate and a signed CD, and you get to take a picture and meet Kenny and Noah. Hence the meet and greet. And it's, they charge some money for it. And they usually get anywhere from 5 or 10 people on up for each one of these. So it was, it's one of those things where that is not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. And we're definitely going to have to isolate ourselves so that none of us have any contact with anything that might pick up anything that would infect the rest of us. Because the last thing we want to do is get anybody in the band sick, and then we go home and get our families sick. And Kenny's got a huge family. He's got 6 kids. So
wow.
Oh yeah, I think the oldest is 13 now, and the youngest might be around 2. So I mean, if he catches anything and takes it home, it's gonna be real bad. So we're gonna have to do some heavy screening and isolation if we actually do go out, if and when we actually do go out and do some shows. So it's a new world,
It is a new world, and I kind of, I guess the reason I'm asking so many questions about your Kenny tour is, when you're looking at the level of clubs at 500 and under versus, the 1,500 theaters and larger, the worlds have always somewhat been divided, but I think in the new world, it's the 700 and under that has the biggest advantage to making it through this moment. They can clearly do 50% capacity, raise their ticket price, and offer that security with that distancing. Where the larger the theater, that those are the challenges that you guys will work out as you open those doors. I don't really think they know how to handle that.
It's definitely going to be something of a whole new world on all levels when we get out there. Even, look, I play a certain amount of shows a year with Kenny, and the rest of it I do, I work every day somewhere. And, I mean, it's going to be difficult, just to try to put people in the clubs at prices they can afford to be able to pay the musicians. I think, I played at the Maple Leaf, and Jason Ricci and myself and Doug Below did a live stream there yesterday. And we were talking to them, and they said basically when they open up, they're only going to be allowed about 45 or 50 people in the audience. So in order to pay the bands, you're going to have to bump our little $10 ticket price to at least $20. In some bands it might be even more. Because you can't have that many people, and they're going to have to do something with seating because standing room only is not going to be allowed. So,
Oh, really?
It's definitely going to be a whole new order and whole new format of doing things that we're all going to have to adjust to, as far as that goes way beyond just wearing masks and sanitizing yourself. So, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to do this because, flu season comes around every year and it's a problem. And, this is obviously on a whole nother level, but it takes something like this for everybody to rethink things like shaking hands and, giving full embraces to people and just keeping a little bit of a distance going.
True. And Waylon, you have a residency with the Daywalkers, and it's on Bourbon Street, which highly relies on tourism.
Absolutely.
So have they commented to you about when they may kick that back in and what their plans are?
Not yet. They talking about maybe another month before they'll open up any clubs other than places that have food on Bourbon Street there, And yeah, it'd be pretty interesting to see how they're going to deal with that because, Bourbon does have some wonderful crowds that come through town and, college kids and all kinds of stuff. But usually the summertime is slow in the quarter. So it's coming up on the summertime. So they'll be able to practice maybe what they need to do before they'll actually have to, do something really drastic to keep people at a distance, and all of that. But yeah, just like what Joe said, man, about shaking hands and hugging and everything else, man, that's what you do. You give your love to people, and ooh, that's pretty tough, man, when you can't shake a man's hand or kiss a woman.
Well, and that's been the interesting dialogue in talking to the folks in Florida, because Florida has reopened their venues and the artists there are working. And from an artistic point of view, they're very concerned with the crowd. The social distancing is not happening. And, they want to shake the hand and take the pictures. And I recognize that across the board, the artists I know, they're concerned for their safety and they don't want to bring it home to their families. And so I do. I think part of doing this and what we all owe to the community is sort of guiding them on the comfort zones for you guys to work out there.
Yeah, I think Howie Mandel's been practicing this for a long time of not making people's hands.
Yeah, I heard about him.
We all know he's a germophobic, but anyway, but he's been practicing that for sure.
Yeah, and that's so. As you guys think about, coming out the gate in the new world and how you're going to move forward, what's one of the positive things that has come to your mind that you're like, oh, that's what I could do?
Well, definitely getting together with friends on this media platform, and it's great to see people too. You can actually stop and think about people for a while now. You can text them, you can call them on the phone, even. As before, you were just maybe too busy to be able to do that. So it gives you a little bit of downtime. It's helping everything good over here at my house. I look at it as a blessing, and I'm very grateful to have this time to be able to work on my house, but also to reflect and whatnot. And now's a great opportunity to write tunes and practice instruments. Joe, I got to tell you, I've always wanted to play the piano. I was never committed like you to actually.
I'm still trying to play. Trust me.
But who knows? I might grab me up a piano here pretty soon.
So what about you, Joe? What's the positive thing and as far as like what's coming to your mind now and how you carry it into the future.
Well, obviously the social media platform has this really kind of expanded it a little bit for me. It's really difficult for me sometimes to really equate um, what my impact and what my interest is um, out there in the public. I work a lot, so on any given night, I don't really see huge crowds or anything like that. Um, so there's always a question in the back of my mind of like, do people really care if I play, or is it like, or am I just taken for granted or something like that? Well, when I first started doing the live stream at the end of March, and the first week I did it, there weren't many. It wasn't very much of that out there. I had almost 15,000 views, and every week that I do it, obviously the more I do it, the less I get the views. But right now I'm averaging up between 1,500 and 2,000 views a week, and it's kind of open, giving me a little bit of confidence that I'm not just a a billboard on the side that people don't even notice. You know that people do notice me, and they want to tune in. They want to hear what I have to say. I read all the comments from it, and it's definitely been a little bit of a. And after this, I'm going to utilize the social, doing some more live social media. Not at this pace, obviously, but just doing some more things on media just to connect with the people out. So that's one thing that I've kind of like gotten positive from this, that I've gotten like a concrete response to what I do music, and it's helped me.
And I think that's a very valid point that you brought up. And I have been a part of a Zoom group that has been meeting that are all business folks. There's a couple of artists involved. And I think, the first 3 weeks of this, I think we all went through that mindset. Am I making an impact? Do people really care if I'm here?
Mhm.
And then, once all that wore off, then, it was really valuing why we do this, not really who cares or if they care, but, what it ultimately did for me personally. And I think that's when, the reflection of, is my life where I want it to be sort of kind of hit into focus.
Well, that's the thing as far as like I play like on Sunday nights at the Maple Leaf. Some nights I'll have 30 or 40 people, and then I'll go out and play with Kenny Wayne Shepherd. He's got 1,500 people in the audience, and I sit there. It's not something you can equate against each other. I mean, I didn't have radio hits, and I didn't sell nearly anything close to what Kenny Wayne Shepherd sells in records. But there's always that question of like, how many people can I put in a club, and how many people are really interested in what I do musically? And that goes beyond this whole virus thing. I mean, it's, as an artist, you put yourself out there on a daily basis, and Waylon can tell you about this, that it's like, you play in clubs, you play in places, you have great turnouts, and then there's not great turnouts, and you can't help but think, is what I'm doing reaching people enough to put people in seats and whatever. Now all of a sudden this happens with this virus, and I see all of a sudden on a live stream I've got like 6,000 hits, 6,000 views on it, and I'm like, yeah, obviously there are some people out there that are interested in what I do, other than myself and my little friends and family. So it's definitely been a little bit of a giving me a little bit of some sort of concrete evidence that there is something out there that is interested in what I do, and I will continue to do the live thing because it definitely it's an ego boost. When you see the people, the numbers come out.
So somebody has a question for you, Waylon.
Yeah.
I know the answer, but I'm going to let you explain it. Joyce Applegate Nash is asking, where are you from? What kind of accent is that?
Michelle, that's a down the bayou accent. You never heard that before?
Very authentic Cajun.
That's right. That's authentic. I'm from Houma, Louisiana,
Homer,
and
right?
I left Houma when I was 18, and I moved to New Orleans and started playing music around the city and stuff. And then I moved. I had lived out in Gentilly, and then I moved to the French Quarter, and I lived there for about a year and a half. And then I moved out of there, moved to the town of Wagaman. I tell everybody I was a Wagamaniac on the West Bank of New Orleans. And then I moved to Georgia. I lived in the Atlanta area for about 4 or 5 years. And I moved to Houston. And then I moved back to Houma, and I said, that's it. I'm not leaving Louisiana again. So I left Houma again, but I moved straight north. I live in the town of Livingston in the Baton Rouge area there. And I live in the woods now, and I absolutely love it. I wanted to represent that, and I didn't want to go outside because it's too dang hot to go outside. So I went behind the screen right behind me here in front of this picture where everybody would think I'm in the swamp. Hey, you see my swamp scene there?
Your swamp scene, and I didn't catch that until you just said that. Yes, sir.
There you go. I'm in the swamp now. So,
and Joe, you're originally from Connecticut, right? New Hampshire. Where are you? Yeah.
I grew up on Long Island.
Long Island.
Right outside of New York City.
That's right. And you've been in New Orleans for how long?
29 years.
Okay. And have you two ever met?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I went had supper with my wife, and Joe happened to be playing, and I introduced myself to him, and of course I knew his name, but I had never really met him, and I was just blown away by Joe's piano playing and stuff, and just loved it. And that's at Ralph's on the Park there. I love that restaurant. It's good stuff.
Well, the funny thing about meeting Waylon that time was, I knew who Waylon was, and I knew it pretty much like what he was doing in his career, the voice of the Wetlands Band, and working on Bourbon Street and being the rocking Cajun fiddler that that everyone has dubbed him and everything. But when I always think of Waylon, I thought of him with a much tighter beard. So when this guy came over to the piano to tip me like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. And he was like, he had this long beard, and I'm like, okay, how you doing? He goes, hey, man, I don't know if I'm a musician too. My name is Waylon Thibodeaux. And I'm like, oh, Waylon, and it was like old home week, But I was just so used to seeing the pictures and everything from when he was younger that had just basically a real cropped beard. I hadn't seen him with the long beard. So, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
I started growing this beard because I moved into the woods and I was working on that dang house. And my wife said, hey, your beard's growing. You might look kind of cute with a bigger beard. I said, okay, so I let it grow. Beard's been growing and growing. And she's like, I'm ready to trim it now. Like, hey, let me pet it a little while longer.
It's fashionable now. It's a fashion thing now. Anders Osborne did it. Chris Muley from Honey Austin did it. Who's the guy from Corrosions of Conformity? He owns Le Bon Ton. I forget his name, but he did it too. It's a whole statement now. I mean, 10 years ago, people would have been like, "You're crazy for doing that," but now everyone is like, "Yeah."
Katie Smith says on the screen there, Waylon.
Braided, huh?
Exactly.
One time, I've always had a beard. I mean, since I was 17, 18 years old, I had a beard, and it was a small beard, yeah. And I had always had long hair too. I let my hair grow. Well, of course, my parents were like, "Man, when you gonna shave that beard? When you gonna cut that hair?" Yeah. Well, the one time when I went to Georgia, I cut my beard, and I shaved my beard, and I cut my hair. I had hair like this high off the top of my head, and no facial hair at all. And my mom and dad saw that for the first time. They're like, "Oh my God, when are you going to grow that back?"
That's funny.
So it's the same thing with this beard. I'm going to let people see that for a little while. And if ever I decide I'm going to trim it short again, well, they're going to be like, "When are you going to grow that back?"
Well, I had a ponytail for, I don't know, 30 years. I always pulled my hair back in a ponytail. And then about a little over 2 years ago, right after Jazz Fest, I cut my hair. I cut it all off. And I figured, I'm older now. I just turned 62, and I'm like, I still got a good amount of hair on my head, and I'm thinking, you know, while while it's still looking okay, go out now before I become like pitiful about it, where I have like 3 hairs in a ponytail in the back of my head, and the rest of my head is bald or something.
You
So
mean
I
like
figured
this?
go out standing up while my hair is good, and that way I can just like keep my hair nice and short like this. And let me tell you something: the difference of touring with a haircut like this versus having to deal with a ponytail. Oh my God, it's so much easier, so much.
I saw this guy that came to a friend of mine's wedding, and he was a high school coach, and he had a ponytail, and he was chrome dome on the top. I'm like, wow, look at that. Well, he can grow that. Well, I can grow one too. I started letting my hair grow.
Well, beard is full. I mean, your beard is like, I mean, it's
Yeah,
rocking.
I tell everybody I pulled
And
it down
wearing
and
your hair
came off the
tight like
top.
that on the top, man, that's the way to go. That is
Yeah,
totally the way to go. You know.
yeah, boy.
So,
Any more questions out there?
what's that?
Any more questions come through?
Yeah, and I'm gonna briefly bring it up. I mean, it's a question that I think we all have pondered as we move forward. Um, and the question's from Jamie Parker, and it says, "What's the number of people to space to price ratio before supply and demand forces the artist to take less?" And I'll answer it first, and then you guys chime in with your opinions. We have this statement we say in life pre-COVID, and it's we're in this together. And I think being the first industry to be hit and the last industry to find its way back, we kind of are in this together. Um, I think it just really, the answer for me comes down to what artists want to work, what artists need to work. Um, and then from there, it's highly based on past relationships. You're going to negotiate with the people that have done right by you, and venues that you have, a known ticket sale, because then what kind of numbers you're expecting, even if you cut them in half. It's the new rooms or the buyers you haven't worked with that I think the honest answer is sure, there's going to be some negotiating. But again, it just really comes back to the artists who want or need to work, because some artists just don't need to.
Well, I can only speak for myself about that. Okay, I can't say what somebody else will work or won't work for them. And the money aspect is obviously. I mean, we are professional musicians, but you know, there's another whole nother part of it that is not a money thing at all. And you know, it was funny because when I did this live stream yesterday with Ricci and Doug Float, it was the first time I played with anybody else since March 15th or so, and it really, like, we all looked at each other before we did it, set up a tip jar and all that PayPal and most stuff, and and it was all good to go for all that, but we all said to each other, I don't really care about the money as much as I just miss playing with people, and I just really want to be out here playing with people. Yeah, we made a little bit of money. It wasn't like anything I could pay my rent with, but like It definitely is. It didn't matter as much as the fact that I was actually up on a stage playing with the guys and having some sense of normalcy back in my life. So I can't really say like who's going to work for what and how will they take cuts? Will they take cuts? Will they do whatever? But I'll tell you this, that it felt really good to have a little taste of normalcy, even though there was no one in the room except for the band. And it was really good to be able to play with these guys, because I played music with these guys like on a regular basis before this all happened. So that almost, it's one of those balancing things of, this hand says, yeah, I got to make money, but this hand says like, I really got to play music with some other people. So I hope that makes sense to somebody. I guess both will have their way. They'll, one or the other will wear out sooner than the other. Obviously, we're playing with people normally, and we want to make the money we were before, but like a starving man in the desert, peanut butter and jelly sandwich is going to be really great. So you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I agree. Like Joe said, that there's two sides: the side where you have to make money, and the other side where you want to play music. I mean, that's your passion, And it's
Yeah.
really nice to be able to get together with other people and do some live streaming and stuff like that. I've done just only 2 live streaming shows since all this happened, and it was nice to see my buddies in the band and all of that, and so it was really good. At the same time, I mean, we got to make money. We this is what we chose to do, and this is what I'm the best at. I'm becoming a carpenter by force, but I'm a musician without a doubt, and that's what I know how to do. So maybe we might have to go to the bartering thing. If somebody has a, a construction company that they have workers and stuff, and they want me to go play a party, well, hell, I'll go play. You can't afford me, and I can't afford you, so let's just work it out and trade. And
That construction company.
I mean, bartering might be the way to go.
And it's interesting because I kind of grew up as a child in a barter system. My dad had an art/frame shop, and he bartered for a lot of things. We took family vacations on bartering, and so yeah, maybe that is something we need to bring back.
Uh,
Well,
I'm very,
one thing this whole virus thing has shown me is that you really have to think out of the box. That things are not the way they were. I mean, just look at what we're doing right now. We are out of the box. We weren't doing this before. We weren't doing interviews like this before. We weren't doing all these things to generate income. You got to think outside of the box, and I think bartering is a great deal. If anybody wants to barter something that I need, I'll come play for them.
heck yeah.
And I think that's kind of the future of the live streaming as it moves forward. I mean, I think it goes back to Jamie's question. I think the live streaming is the back end of the ratio. For the folks that aren't comfortable going out, they can still purchase that ticket and be a part of that show. But I also think it has a future as far as some really awesome private party online, or an exclusive pre-release tour or something. And I think that's the great side of outside of the box. Right now it's a necessity, but in the future it will be an added addition.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see, do live shows and festivals or whatever, and people buy tickets to watch it from another country, even. You have them all in the same place on the internet. So that's a really cool thing, and if they buying tickets, well, that's helping us out for sure.
And
Yeah.
I think that people will still want to go out and see the music when it comes to their town. You know, this is definitely a way that we are reaching more people that are previously inaccessible. And I think once they see us do this on live, yeah, I think it will definitely encourage music sales and ticket sales in some sort of way. you know, out of sight, out of mind. But when you're seeing things online on a regular interval, I'm not saying every week. That's why I'm saying after this is done, I'm going to continue doing some sort of live stream, you know, maybe once every 3 or 4 months or something like that, where I actually sit down and play, so the people that can't hear me play or won't have access to hear me play can actually do that, you know. And I'm sure that when I do get in an area that they do have access to, they'll come out that much stronger, you know.
I think it's a major tool in the future just for the barriers between Europe and America. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think about a couple of my colleagues who, you know, Canada and the UK would be an issue, and so you could take your live streaming strictly for that segment. You know, for the we'll never see them live in their country. You know,
Right. That's the thing. Like, and it can generate some interest so that if we actually do get into their country, whether for me, whether I do it solo or with the Kenny Wayne thing, I'll definitely have more interest in coming out to hear me play versus like making it. You know, there's always that thought. Well, if I'm giving it away on you know, Facebook for free or for voluntary tips of some sort, why would someone come out and see me live? Well, there's a big difference between the virtual and the live, and you know, I think that it will generate more interest than we'll lose in the fact that people have seen me do a live stream.
true.
Yeah, I think it'll only help for sure, and
Yeah,
you'll be exposed to people that you know would have maybe not known of you at all by doing these cross kind of talk shows. You know, the people that go to see Joe, they might not ever heard of me. So if they're watching Joe right now, then they get to see me.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of why I chose this format. You know, we talk individually all the time, but you know, we're all part of the same family, and so this sort of joins us together and allows us to have conversation collectively.
yes.
But I definitely want Joe's fans to come see me. I want them to come see how pretty I am.
Likewise, I want Waylon's fans to come out and see me too.
And that's so awesome that you brought up that you met Joe at Ralph on the Park, right? Ralph's on the Park, yep. And because that is a special treat that Joe gives me every time we go to New Orleans. I get to go have lunch there. And
Yeah.
the other side is that's where Alan Toussaint used to come watch you.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Every time I do a live stream of something, I do a post about it, and I try to get a different picture. And one of the ones I posted was a picture of Alan, where he was actually talking to me. He was standing and talking to me, and I'm sitting at the piano and playing. And I just posted it as memory because I was doing a tribute to the music. I was doing a set I would do at Ralph's. And I got like, I don't know, close to 300 likes on just that one picture. There's more than anything that I had posted before. Of course, Alan Toussaint is going to, like, you know, generate that kind of interest. But you know, this week I'm gonna take a break after this week, but I'm gonna do a tribute to like all my influences, and I have a picture of Alan and myself sitting at the piano that I'm gonna post probably tomorrow. So I know
can I tell my favorite Waylon, or I mean Joe Krown, Alan Toussaint story?
Sure.
So Joe Krown was on tour with Waylon Toussaint, and you guys were. I did say that. Sorry. Oh Lord, what was that tour? It was you and Walter. Yep. And
we were the bass band. We were like the center band, and we backed up Nicholas Payton. Then we backed up Alan Toussaint.
And so they had two shows in North Carolina back to back, one in Charlotte at this beautiful theater and one in Durham at the university. And so I went to both shows, and they were both so different. You know, the first night was just big show, you know, very typical Alan. The second night was very storytelling, and he kept talking about how his crowd was older and made a couple of jokes about it. And so afterwards, you know, I felt the need to want to tell him how I was one of his biggest fans. So I walk up to the autograph table and explain this to Alan, like I've been a big fan forever, and this has been awesome. I saw you last night. Thank you for both shows being so different. And asked him if I could have my picture with him, and he just was so gracious. Joe's sitting at the table beside him signing autographs, and I hear Alan say, Joe, see that young girl? She my fan. She likes me. And Joe goes, that's my agent, Alan. And then I was like, why'd you bust his bubble, Joe? Why'd you do that?
It wasn't. Alan was like as grounded as you could be. I mean, I was always like, you know, when I first got around him, I felt like, you know, I was so intimidated. You know, it's Alan Tucson. Forget the piano playing part, the mastering of the piano. This guy wrote the music of New Orleans, and I mean, he was the guy, and I was, you know. I could barely speak around him. I was so intimidated. And the more I got to know him, the more I realized he really just wants to be just a regular guy, just one of the guys, you know. And he'd come out to see me play like countless times over at Ralph's. He would always catch my Jazz Fest set. And it was the only time I ever saw him without a jacket and a tie was during Jazz Fest. He wore like a Hawaiian shirt and a cowboy hat. And I'd always see him in the crowd, always. And he was just like always the nicest guy. He was never a guy that like had the big ego. He never came off that way to me, that he had the big ego and you couldn't approach him and stuff. And I'd see him. People would come up to him in Ralph's and want to tell him stories about him and his music, and he would just give them their fullest attention and shake hands and take pictures and always just like the sweetest guy. And it really kind of confirmed to me this whole thing about these people that have egos and attitudes about what they do and thinking they're better than you. And we're all people out there. We all do what we do.
Absolutely.
You're a hero to your children, you know. So I mean, okay, I can play a little bit of piano, and I appreciate the fact that it touches you and all that stuff. But we all have things that we do, and you know, I mean, if we didn't have that, we'd be on, you know, I guess we'd be homeless because, you know, I guess those are the people that can't do anything, you know, whatever reason. But, you know, even the people that fix your po' boy sandwich on the corner, I mean, they're doing a service and they do it well because I keep going back there and getting fatter, you know. You know what I'm saying? It's like we all have something that we do, and that's the way Alan was about it. And, you know, I get around a lot of musicians and a lot of artists, and I also produce an event, the WWOZ Piano Night now, and I have to deal with these people with the attitudes and the egos and stuff, and it's just, you know, I get it. You know, you have talent, and I respect your talent, but you know, I mean, why do you gotta treat me like that, or why you gotta put everything on? You know, everything has to stop around. You know, whatever. I don't want to get into it. I don't want. But Alan was a real sweet guy. He was a really good guy, you know.
So what is something back to this, because you guys didn't really answer it. Something, I'll ask it this way. What are some of the things that you changed through this that you do see continuing into the future?
As far as music, or as far as
personal?
Well,
maybe how you buy your groceries, or
I'm definitely going to be cooking more than I was, and I'm definitely going to be cutting my hair because I got that figured out. Trust me, after like, you know, I was going to get this little buzz cut here every like 3 to 4 weeks. After about like 5 or 6 weeks, I'm like, what am I going to do here? So bought some tools and got my wife involved, and we're actually like managing it on our own. Not that this is anything special, but believe me, it's a lot better than what it was. Um, and I will be doing some live streaming. I wasn't doing anything at all, but I'm going to start doing some of that on a regular basis, whether it be just one or two songs at a time, or whatever. I think it definitely reaches out to people, and I can appreciate. I mean, obviously, people are starving right now. They're in the desert looking for music, so I get that. But as far as my audience, just to throw some songs up every once in a while, I'm gonna continue to do that. And for me, the days of shaking hands, I'm not shaking hands with anybody anymore because I always get sick. Every year I get like one flu, sometimes two, cough, sneeze, and the whole respiratory thing. And after all this, no more. There's not going to be any more shaking hands. There's not going to be any more hugging or any of that stuff. I'm gonna keep my little distance and try to stay healthy all winter long with whatever's out there.
And before you answer, Waylon, I want to backtrack on that. Is this something that you're going to explain during your shows, or are you just going to move forward and hope that people don't find you to be pretentious? And I ask that because if it's something you've done, how do you stop that? How do you explain it? And do you feel it needs to be explained?
For me?
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it. And when it comes up to as far as like the social distancing, I'm just going to say social distancing. I don't need to explain it to anybody. I don't need to go into anything. I'm just saying I'm practicing social distancing, and I don't need to make a big announcement about it. I'm just going to I'll put my hand out to pound. I'll put my elbow forward to touch elbows, but I'm not going to shake hands with anybody. Anybody goes to embrace me, I'm just going to put my hand up and just say social distancing and put my elbow out or something like that. And if they can't accept that, then it's on them. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's going to be the new norm for me. I look at all these ads about coronavirus, and they say if you're high risk, and what do they say? Pre-existing conditions, emphysema, asthma, all that stuff. If you're above 65 and you have any of these conditions, well, I'm 62 right now. I have asthma. I had asthma all my life. I take daily medication in pill form and inhaler to do what I do. I'm sitting there going like, I'm high. I'm in that high risk category. So it's like, I think I'm gonna, as a general rule, continue doing what I'm doing right now with the social distancing. I might even wear masks in public, especially when I'm flying. I think we're going to see a lot more of that after the virus.
True. So what's your answer, Waylon? What has changed for positive personally that you will carry forward?
Well, I was actually kind of thinking about this morning. What's going to be the new norm for people, And when the AIDS epidemic happened, people were having unprotected sex, and they didn't care about getting sick. Well, once it start killing people, then people have a problem, and they don't know what to do. So and that's the way I feel about this. I think you should protect yourself, and at the same time, to me, you gotta still be who you are inside. And I hate to say this, but you're going to die of something. So I don't want it to be this at any time soon. But if this is going to kill me, well, then this is going to kill me. So I can't wait to shake people's hands, and I can't wait to hug people. And if they don't want to hug me, well, that's a different story. That's fine. That's not a problem. Maybe they don't want to be scratched by the beard. I don't know. But I just got back from Texas this past weekend. I played music in Texas, and half the band didn't mind hugging and shaking hands, and the other half of the band was like, "Stay back. I don't want no part of this." So, and if you get your feelings hurt, well, then you need to go back and check yourself, because this is only people protecting themselves and right. Everything else, So I can see it on both sides, and I'm leaning to just whatever makes you comfortable in this life, then that's what you have to do. That's how I feel.
It's a very personal thing, no doubt. And being in a very public world, it's going to be interesting how, the respect of saying I'm social distancing. And every time I go out, I have some sort of confrontation with somebody because I am social distancing and trying, to be kind about it. But I find that a lot of people around me, I mean, we don't have a lot of cases, so everybody's acting like nothing's happening. And
you might have to wear a special, either a pin, or you might have to wear a special color shirt that tells the whole world, look, I'm just being, doing social distancing, and people will know, keep your distance. That's it.
be the trendsetter, Waylon. Pick the color, throw it out to the market.
I like your dog too, Joey.
Yeah, I was going to say, show us your dog. Tell us its name.
This is Murray.
Murray. Hello, Murray.
Murray.
Oh, wow. You just got my cat to say hello.
That was me.
Murray. Where's your other one? Hi, Murray.
She's with my wife. She's pinned to my wife. This one stays by my side, and the other one stays by my wife.
And I thought about you last night, Joe, when you talked about, how they chew everything and then they grow up. I don't know if you hear my dog barking in the background, but my puppies have turned out to be great puppies. They only chewed for like 3 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And it was the same pair of shoes every time.
Well, it's better than them chewing through a whole bunch of shoes.
That's right. We left them there purposely for training.
Right. Once they got it, they were dead.
Yeah. And, had a small crying session over the pair of shoes they chose, but that's okay. I'm a girl. I've got plenty. It's one of my things.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you're training dogs and they'll have the vest that the dogs wear says "Don't pet me" and or in training or whatever. That's what we're gonna have to wear is a vest like that. Social distancing.
Yeah, social distancing.
That's it.
Well, you're right. It is a very personal thing, and I don't take offense by it at all. I do take offense if I say I'm social distancing and someone gives me an attitude, or if I'm wearing a mask, someone gives me an attitude about that. But I mean, it's a free world, and if you want to, do you. I mean, you do you, and I'll do me, and that'll work fine.
The only thing that people I would hope that people would be smart enough to know that if they have any kind of symptoms, stay the hell home and don't touch me.
Well, and I think I mean, what I hope that everyone takes out of this, that I personally have practiced a long time, is when it's flu season, wash your hands and cough into your sleeve and stay home if you have a fever. And it's a shame that it took something of this magnitude for everybody to put that on their to-do list.
Well, yeah, and to be honest about it, like there's so many times I can't avoid it. I'm playing in bars. There's one bar I play on Friday nights, Le Bon Temps Roulette on Magazine Street. My back, I'm like in the crowd, and my back is to the crowd, and people they're all over me. They're walking up against me, they're walking by me, they're patting me on the shoulders while I'm playing. And you go to talk to people, and they're just up in your face. I mean, there's no way to avoid it. I kind of tell this to my wife. There's really, I get sick every season because it's like there's really no way for me to really fully isolate myself and just cut myself off from it because people are just on top of me all the time. You get off the stage at the Maple Leaf and the crowd is packed right up to the stage. There's no way you're not going to come in contact with people. And, So I mean, there's a certain amount that you can do, and there's a certain amount you can't do. And in being in music business, on the level that I am, okay, granted, when I play with Kenny Wayne, we're in one of those bands where you don't see them anywhere but on the stage. You don't see them before the show, you see them after the show. Fans are waiting outside the dressing room or outside by the tour bus, and security's holding them back. Okay, that's that kind of band. But when I play on my own, which is at least half, if not 2/3 of the shows in a year, I'm surrounded by people, and they're all up on top of me, breathing on me, touching at me, pawing at me, wanting to shake my hand, wanting to touching my body while they talk to me. There's no way to avoid that. You know, I mean, we can try as much as we want. You can wear something saying I'm social distancing. No matter what you do, you just can't put a bubble around you. Like I saw this one video of this restaurant. They did is they made tables. They put a big tire, like an inner tube, like a big, huge one, about 3 or 4 feet around, and they made a table in the middle. That's how you have to walk around the place. So people can't get 3 feet closer to you, and everyone's wearing them. So there's 6 feet between everybody. But you can't do that being a performer. You can't. You have to meet your crowd. You're gonna have to have contact with them at some point, unless I'm in a Kenny Wayne Shepherd band type situation. And fortunately, I am. So I'll be able to work a little bit.
Well, I appreciate this, guys. I do. It's great to see you. As I said to Jason and Eden last week, this may be our only time to see each other in person this year. So very nice to see you.
Well, it's great to see both of y'all, and thanks for letting me chit chat with y'all. This is kind of nice. Beats the hell out of looking at lumber all day long.
Right, and getting a cool break for a moment.
Yeah, that's right. In the
air. No doubt. Well, take care, gentlemen, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you, Tina. Again, good seeing you, Waylon. Good luck with your house.
Great seeing you too, Joe. Thanks, Tina. I appreciate it. And all the people out there, thank y'all for tuning in.
Thanks for stopping in, folks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Guest to be announced.